Hello and welcome everybody to
Hi.
a brand new Spaghetti Wednesdays where we throw it against the wall and see what sticks. I am joined by actually everybody here's technically a familiar face at this point, kind of. But why don't we go ahead and start with the top. Draz?
Hi, I'm Draz, James. Um, Last seen in the Black Royal Regatta, blah blah. There's words there that I'm not saying. Black Royal Regatta, Hunter the Vigil, that we did. Haven't been around much since, but looking forward to get back into it with a little stint through the Weird West. Giddy up.
Next up is Robin.
Hi. Oh, hi, I'm Robin. I was last seen on last season's Spaghetti Wednesdays, being a teenage superhero for Mask, and I'm currently in the Blades in the Dark live series. What happens in the dusk?
And then finally, but not leastly, Corin.
Hello, I am Corin. I was also around for the last Spaghetti Wednesdays in which we played Masks, but I don't think I'm part of anything else just yet.
All right. So, with that underway, let's talk some Deadlands here. So, everybody, I've assigned you a character sheet. You should have access to that. More or less. If you don't, then please let me know at this time.
Yeah. I got her pulled up.
So, we are going to essentially go through character creation. Now, I had stated that, come in, perfectly fine to come in with some concepts, but obviously this is going to be the time where we actually decide if that's what we want to go with for these characters. So if you have a concept in mind, feel free to go ahead and speak up. As we also did, this is probably a note for Draz, more so than Robin and Corin. I allow the players to ask specific questions about your concept to help you flesh it out a little bit more. So feel free, whoever's sharing their idea, feel free to chime in with some questions to see if we can't flesh these out a little bit more than, those beginning little rumblings in the brain.
I've got a bit of an idea, but if somebody else has something that's kind of fleshed that they'd like to go ahead and pitch, then I'll step back. Otherwise, I don't mind starting either. All right, I'll take that as a go. So I'm thinking about a blessed as far as mechanical archetype. Got in my head, not sure how it'll play out, but something that falls somewhere between John Constantine and Dean Winchester. And the idea is, not everybody that's blessed is a pious man. Sometimes they're just someone who happens to fit into the plan, the obscure plans of the Almighty at the time for what's needed. That's more his bit. He's someone the church sends out, sometimes alone, sometimes with others. Those people may or may not be affiliated with the church, but to help deal with some of the supernatural stuff and help keep the fear tamped down and keep a lid on the apocalypse. Ian's not a preacher, and he doesn't have faith because you don't need faith when you already know. And he does the good work by sending evil crap back to where evil crap belongs, normally through extensive violence and a touch of divine magic. Not the kind of guy who's above doing a few bad things, because a few bad things is better than a demon on the loose. And he kind of walks that line on what is and isn't a sin. Kind of leaving it a bit vague on that. We'll have to go into detail on that because sinning's a problem for the blessed. It can cause some issues, but what's a sin kind of varies from man to man and church to church, based on who's providing them the powers. Here, he's with the group because this particular mission, well, it needed a man of God involved. And he's not that, but he's the next best thing. He's a man that carries God's wrath with him at the least.
God's wrath.
All right. Robin, Corin, anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I also have a very vague character idea that's been brewing for the past few weeks. I'm thinking of going more of a shamanistic character from the southern bayous of Louisiana. And that's all I have so far.
If just for clarification, I remember we had talked. You had mentioned this, and you had specifically stated you were going to be, when you use the term shaman, you're actually referring to Filipino shamanism, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Which I would hope that you know, keep things appropriate for your culture.
Absolutely.
There's some cool stuff in there. There's in the core book with the shamans. They typically deal around obviously local indigenous, but there's some really cool stuff you can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take much to flip it around and make it what you want it.
Yeah. That's what I was going for.
What? I've got questions in my head, but I can't put words to them.
Exactly.
Well, Corin, while questions are formulating into words, do you have any concepts you've been kicking around?
I have one idea that's been in my head for a character. The idea that I've had has probably been of a deserter of some kind. Specifically, someone whose entire shtick is kind of being at like the keen edge of fate itself. They're a bit like you remember that cricket from Mulan?
Mm-hmm.
His life is basically like that, in that he is a bad luck charm to all of his enemies, but not for himself. And he can use that. And the trouble is that he doesn't want to use it for the benefit of his former allies anymore. They wanted him to stay on their side, and they don't take refusal lightly.
So I guess the important question is are you taking Grim Servant O' Death? Are we going down that route? I have to ask.
I'm sorry, that went in one ear out the other.
It is one of the edges on page 15 going on to 16. Basically, you get a +1 to all your damage rolls. The downside is you tend to hit other people if you fail really badly, and it's bad when you do.
Yeah, I'm getting like a misfortune to others.
If that's a thing that people don't want to deal with, we can go with something else, but that was my first thought.
I'm always down for shenanigans.
Yeah.
You're in a group that's like, failures mean that bad things happen to us? Yay!
our first session of the last series we were in, I ran over our driver with his own car. So
That is a truth fact.
you know, shoot me on occasion. It's fine.
Blow him up with a stick of dynamite.
Yeah, I had not gotten into the hindrances too much, hindrances and stuff too much yet.
Oh yeah, it's a hindrance, not an edge. My bad.
Yeah, it's a major though.
Oh yeah, those are.
What was definitely look at some of the more unique ones. There's a good chance that I'm gonna end up with Veteran of the Wild West for an edge.
Okay.
So we're going to do a deck draw. That most likely.
But before we get on into hindrances and the like, have those questions formulated into words yet?
I guess my question to both of them would be, how did the two of you end up where we're at? Because it's the organization TM sends a team to handle this train while there's an opportunity, right? So we're either members of the organization or members of something tangential enough to get tapped. So
Yes.
my idea for me was, I'm a member of the church. The organization reached out and said, "Hey, church, we need some holy fire, some blessed water," and I was basically lent out and placed with the team. What about the two of you?
So yeah, I guess my question to that would be, if we had to put a place on where this is, where would it be?
Alright, so I had been rolling that around in my noodle for the past couple of weeks. And I'm thinking we are gonna put ourselves in East Texas. So we're looking at somewhat south of the Coyote Confederation, just west of Louisiana, that region. I would,
So the Dixie Rail Line.
yeah, Dixie Rail Lines or the Bayou Vermilion, which runs below.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then what was your question? How would our character be there?
How did y'all end up, or how in your head, prior to any adjustments from our Marshall, do y'all end up as part of the team getting thrown on this train to take it off the rails, metaphorically, I think.
Yeah, I mean, my idea for my character was she'd be making her way just up west to California. So Texas is on the way there. So she heard that there's a problem with like a train which is haunted. Am I making that up?
Haunted isn't an incorrect term. We'll get into how well that term actually suits throughout the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if there's spirits involved, she figured she can maybe help with that and get some money in her pocket out of that, maybe, on her way.
I figure Josh the Jinx came on his own. He is neither a nice man nor a completely incorruptible one. But if there are two things he loves, it's money and a target-rich environment. He doesn't explain much of the second one. He just lets people think he really likes killing. But, well, beyond the fact that that's partly true, it's also that the more bad guys there are around to shoot, the less likely it is that someone Josh actually cares about is going to get shot instead because of his bad luck aura.
Makes sense.
And just go ahead and go into the society that hired you. I know you had mentioned it to me, Draz, but I hadn't put a name on it. It will just be the Twilight Legion. Why make another secret, as you kind of said, why make another secret society when one already exists?
So for Robin and their front is effectively like a gentleman's explorers club, cigars and whiskey and people going out into the wild to catalog fauna and flora and stuff. Just your basic kind of paid expedition, make me feel good kind of stuff, cataloging and all, and then behind the scenes of that is the Twilight Legion, the people who actually know what's up, and actively work to keep things under control and keep the fear from rising to the point of letting places turn into actual Deadlands. Tied up with them in a myriad of ways.
So, with that, well, the book tells us to start off with race. That's a pretty easy one. They're all human. Not beat around the bush. We're not playing high fantasy here.
Actually, I'm a dwarf.
Always the contrarian, aren't you?
Yeah. Just making sure I'm different.
So, now we're going to officially talk about hindrances here. So, you can take up to 4 points of hindrances. A major's worth 2, and a minor's worth 1.
Humans also get a free novice edge that they qualify for. But
Yes.
that'll have to come back around when we've adjusted our other stuff.
Yeah, because edges aren't quite here yet.
No.
So, I believe, let's go ahead and start with Corin, since Grim Servant of Death was already mentioned. So, might as well start with you in this case, since it was already mentioned. This is when I'm going to start busting out my little note cards here, so I can start making notes on you guys. Corin?
Yes?
So what hindrances are you looking at taking?
You
I
got
keep
Grim
forgetting
Servant
I'm
Death.
not on push to talk.
That's
Grim
a
Servant of
major.
Death is at the top.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a major one.
So that's immediately 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see.
Also, for Draz and Robin, if you see a hindrance that you might want based off of the concept that Corin has mentioned, if you see one that might fit in, feel free to suggest it.
For sure, yeah.
You know, it seems less about bad luck and more about twisted fate. So while on one hand you've got the well, I'm thinking edges again.
Trouble Magnet came to mind as another.
Yeah.
The minor or major
Yeah.
variant.
Yeah.
Minor.
Since he like left a thing? Are you wanted? Or they just let you go?
I think he would still be wanted, because it's either they want him back or they want him dead. Possibly both.
Yeah, so that's one of the hindrances.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the ones in the core book, correct, Robin?
Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
Page 28 has a minor and a major.
You would be taking the minor version of it, and that would bring you up to 4. If
Sounds
you
good.
wanted.
Well, unless I gotta double check exactly how bad the major version is, because that might be more interesting instead.
So the major version is the level of the hindrance depends on how serious the crime is. So this one is particularly this one doesn't have mechanical attachments to it. This is completely
So it's just fluff based.
fluff based, which basically gives me an excuse to send people after you, essentially.
Well, the major one might be more interesting, honestly. You know what? What was the other thing I was thinking of going for again? I wanted to go with
Trouble
Magnet. Yeah, you know what? We'll scratch that. I'll take Wanted Major as my second.
Mm.
I actually already have an idea of something.
That is both encouraging and terrifying.
That's the way it should be, honestly. Where the DM's like, I know where I can go with this, and everybody's like, oh no. Robin, Draz, who wants to step up?
Yeah. Ladies first. Go ahead. Do you want to go first, or?
What? I'm so confused.
Yeah, the comment ladies first, I'm like, wait, which way is this going?
I don't mind. I think heroic
Is core?
or 24.
Yeah.
Doesn't say no to people in need. Doesn't have to be happy about it, but always eventually does it. They still don't seem to. I see them as like reluctant, very angry about it. Like actively avoid people's drama in bad situations because I just know, overhear it. Gonna have to freaking handle it. So please just shut up and go have your argument over there, so I don't have to be involved, kind of thing. Very Geralt from the books more than the show, but very Geralt the Witcher kind of like he just can't not help. But damn, he'd really love to not be around so he doesn't have to.
Got it.
I got that, and then I think Loyal Miner plays with that really well. Once he's paired up and he's got a team, on one hand, and maybe not, I don't know. On one hand, if we all have to die, that's fine, as long as this train's running its last ride. But on the other hand, he'd rather be the first one than the last one. So I don't know on that one. Another option is overconfident, which is a major. I don't know if it makes sense for a man of God imbued with divine wrath to be overconfident or not. Sarcasm. So those are a couple of the others in addition to heroic that I was thinking of. If I did loyal, I'd probably like pair ugly with it, maybe.
Oh wow.
You just gonna go with ugly? Like, you didn't even pause on that.
Like I was thinking that maybe, if I got loyal, pair it with that. But I was also looking at some of the ones that were specific to they were out of the core book.
From the Deadlands itself?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Lion eyes. I like that one. Honest one to any intimidation and persuasion rolls where lies, even little ones, must be told.
And that also affects gambling.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't gamble.
That's a sin, right?
If God wants me to have your money, he'll show me the evil deeds you did and I'll kill you and take it.
So, heroic, loyal, and lion eyes?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Right. Robin?
Okay, so I have 3. I was thinking, of course, talisman.
Okay.
I was thinking the medicine bag. Or the herbs bag. Yeah, just a bag. Second one.
Major or minor for that one?
Ooh.
You'll probably need
Wait,
old
let me
ways
see.
oath, too.
Yeah, that
Wallet,
that
rather.
one. Where is it? Oh, oh.
Wait, which one are you referring to? Sorry.
Old ways
Is this-
oath?
Oh, Old
Oh,
Ways
this-
Oath. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So for what would, let's see. Major. She's not percent -2 without it. Yeah, I'll go major for that one.
Okay, and then Old Ways Oath, you said?
Yep.
So you
And
get...
last. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say you get one more minor.
Yep. I was thinking outsider
Makes sense.
from the core. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sorry, I was so close. The text is so small.
Alright, so outsider. -2 to persuasion.
Okay.
So, now we have all of our hindrances. Gonna have to... Stated, I already know kind of what I want to do with Corins. Got some ideas for you, Draz, as well. Need a little bit more to think on yours, Robin.
For sure.
Alright. Now we're going to start talking about edges, which that's where the human... the human benefit of getting an extra novice edge.
Sorry, I missed that part. What was that?
I said this is now where we're going to start talking about edges, and this is where that human part comes in. Getting a free novice edge, as long as you meet the requirements, or you don't need to meet the requirements.
We still have to meet the requirements.
That's what I thought.
The book does it in a weird order because they do edges first, but a lot of the edges have ability or skill requirements. Then they want to do abilities and skills and then wrap back to edges just to make sure we're hitting the requirements. I don't know why it's in that order on the book, but
They probably, what they expect you to do is you choose the edges and then you force your skills to meet those requirements.
probably.
But we can easily do the abilities and stuff first. However,
Apple juice.
no, you don't need to clarify that. If it's whiskey, it's whiskey. So,
Sounds like a sin.
fair enough. So we're gonna, I guess we're gonna start with attributes then. Your attributes are agility, smarts, spirit, strength, and vigor. Agility is your nimbleness and dexterity. General coordination. Smarts is intelligence, mental acuity, and how quick you are while thinking, as it were. Spirit is your self-confidence, backbone and willpower. Strength is your physical power and fitness. And vigor is your endurance, how resistant you are to poisons. Also affects how much physical damage you can take.
Dying. um, you get 5 points, I believe. Is that right?
Let me just confirm. I do believe it is 5 points, though.
It's five, and then 12 for skills.
Yeah, it is 12 for skills.
Okay.
Yeah, you start with
5.
a D4 and then 5 points.
So basically, the way the points work is you choose to put a point into an attribute, and then that attribute goes up from a D4 to a D6. The point of this is your target number is always 4. You might have modifiers taking you higher or lower, but you're trying to hit the number 4. So obviously, the more sides your die have, generally the better it is.
So, mathematically, going up from a D4 to a D6 is a big deal then.
Yes, there are 2 small caveats that I would like to mention. One is you guys are wild cards, so you have an extra wild D6 that you roll,
Oh.
which makes things a little easier. Also, the caveat is that while the threshold for success is lower on a D4, the threshold for exploding is higher. That doesn't mean that a D4 is better, it does just mean that a D4 tends to explode more often. Or what exploding means is whenever you max out a die, you roll it again.
Mm-hmm.
So
As an example, if you have a D6, you have a 75% success chance. But if you have a D4 plus 1, with a plus 1 modifier, it's an 83%. So there's, it's the flat modifiers that you can earn them, and getting negative ones have a lot more weight on your chances than the die. And lower die have a higher chance of acing.
mhm.
But generally, bigger die better.
Cool.
So, Robin, why don't you start with how you're thinking of placing your attributes?
Okay. So we have 5, if I heard correctly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how many? We can just put in multiple ones in.
You can. They cannot be raised above a D12 at this time, however. But I would highly recommend not cramming all 5 into one die.
Yes. Just
pro tip.
Yeah. I would put one, of course, in spirit. Gonna keep it there, I think. Just holding out hope for explosions. I feel like that's a bad investment, but I'll put one in vigor. Yeah, one. Vigor is your
Your HP stat.
Yes.
Use a very, very just broad generic term.
Yeah,
it's your generic fantasy system equivalent of Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope it's a bit more interesting than Constitution, though.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Everything in this system's a little bit more interesting, if I have to say so.
I love this system.
Yeah. I'll put my last one into smarts.
Are looking at...
Is that right?
You have 5, so... You have 2 in smarts, 1 in agility, 1 in spirit, and 1 in vigor. Yep, that's right.
There you go. I feel like I did bad, but whatever. We'll see.
Grass?
Gonna put 2 into spirit to go to a D8, and then 1 in everything else. So agility, smart, strength, and vigor will all be D6.
Wait, what?
Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, that's bad math.
Yeah, I was like, wait, no.
Gonna pull. Sorry. Gonna pull smarts back to a D4.
Okay. Warren?
I'll need to think.
Alright, so I'm not planning on doing something completely suboptimal or anything, but I feel like I'll make my character a bit less balanced.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is I'll bump up Vigor to a D8, so that's 2. Then I'll bump up Smarts and Agility, so that's 3, 4. And then the 5th is either between Strength and Spirit. I'm not sure which would be more fitting or not.
How do you envision you playing the character?
Josh the Jinx is a guy who's more likely to power through his problems instead of like actually. I mean, it's not that he won't think, it's more just that he kind of succumbs really bad to the sunk cost fallacy. He just wants to get it over with if he can. So he strikes me as the sort of fellow who would probably be alright with some bare-knuckled brawling. I don't totally understand the connotations of the spirit stat, but I doubt he puts a lot of stock in superstition, despite being a walking jinx.
So, spirit is your unnamed, trademarked, non-copyright infringed version of a wisdom stat. So it's your ability to resist certain magics, things like that. Also, if you're imagining them as like a brawler versus a shooter versus a magic person kind of thing, your attributes directly impact the rate at which you can advance certain skills.
Oh,
like
that's interesting.
Your fighting and your shooting skills, and so the accuracy with which you can hit things basically are agility. But the damage you do when you hit are strength is normally weapon plus strength die.
Yeah.
And then depending what kind of caster you are, if you're a caster of some sort, maybe smarts or spirit, depending on what you're casting. Like arcane.
I don't even know which of those Josh is gonna be yet.
So if you've got a sword cane that Josh breaks out and starts stabbing people, then agility and a touch of strength. If Josh has got a 6-shooter on his hip, then strength might be a little bit less of an issue, and it might be more about like mental perseverance and pushing through. So like agility and maybe heavier on the spirit and determination and grit and dealing with the fact that he may shoot a friend, but my God, we got to do it anyway, and kind of pushing through knowing that might happen. Represent.
Yeah, you know what? I think you've convinced me. I'm gonna put it into spirit after all.
It's hard to go wrong with spirit or vigor, either one.
And to kind of expound upon what Draz was saying, since we're getting ready to get into skills, you guys have 12 skill points. It works exactly the same as it did for attributes. 1 point brings it up 1 die, except for once you hit the link. So you have a d6 in strength, let's say, and you want to take one of the strength-based stats up to 8. It's 1 point up until 6, and then it takes 2 to go to 8.
So I overpay if I'm trying to raise a skill higher than the maximum die step of my attribute.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now,
Uh,
it is
quick-
also only 1 point to raise your attribute. So instead of 2 points to raise a skill, you could raise an attribute 1 point and then raise a skill 1 point. The catch is you can only raise one attribute one time per rank. So once in novice, once in seasoned, once in veteran, etc., etc. And that happens on the level ups, the advances.
Robin.
Quick retcon. I just read, and you have to have a D8 for spirit, so I'm just gonna swap smarts and spirit.
Okay.
That's a requirement. So yeah.
Yeah, mine's only a D6. Just double checked.
All right. So now, unlike with attributes, not all your skills start at a D4. Athletics, common knowledge, notice, persuasion, and stealth are the ones that start at D4. Everything actually starts off at 0, essentially.
Oh.
In Roll20, if you expand skills, you can check which ones you want to add, and if you just check core skills, it'll auto-check all those that started a D4 for you to make that simple.
I think I did that for everybody, with the exception of maybe you. Setting up the core skills.
Either you didn't, or I was the exception.
I know I did it for everybody else, though.
Okay.
I think it was because you didn't. I think you didn't get into the Roll20, so I was just like, I'll do it once he's in the Roll20, and
I gotcha.
Yep.
And also, if you are not trained in a skill, and Liv asks you to roll it, you roll a D4 and subtract 2. -2 represents a very difficult thing. Very difficult. Like tracking somebody in a rainstorm in a city difficult at night. Like it's super hard.
Also, one of our viewers wants to know, Draz, is there a skill where you can train an animal to have the horse wield a weapon in its mouth? Obviously, more of a joke question, but...
Depends on if your GM really likes a particular whiskey and you have access to it.
There's your answer. So, Corin, would you like to go ahead and tell us what you're thinking for skills?
So these skills that are in here are obviously not the only ones I have, because Savage Worlds has a lot of skills.
Yes, all you need to do is you click if you want to look at a list on Roll20, is you click on the hammer and wrench icon next to skills, and then you will see.
Oh. And all the ones with X's in them are the ones that aren't allowed?
No, those are the ones that you don't have points into, so you would take... They aren't showing up, essentially.
Oh, okay.
I just told it to show core skills. You could, of course, tell it to show all skills if you want all of that to show up on your list. I felt like that might be a little overwhelming.
Question about healing and treating wounds and stuff. Can you heal yourself?
Yes.
There was a very timid yes.
Sorry, I was in the middle of taking a drink. Do you want me to answer, Will?
Hey, the less I have to talk, no.
I don't want to be that guy.
No, you're perfectly fine. I'm more than willing to acquiesce to players that have, especially if they have the information right off the top of their head, like more than happy.
So you can heal yourself. One healing check takes, I believe it's 10 minutes, and it has to be done within the golden hour, which is the first hour after you take the wound. If you don't have a healing kit, then you get like a -1 to it to the roll. and other modifiers may apply. So if you're trying to heal a gunshot wound on a rickety moving train that's jostling you around on a bad part of the track, that might be a -1 in addition to, or if you're if you're in a swampland where the environment's very unsterile or something like that, he may impose a -1 or a -2 or something. And then a lot of times, so if you fail that first roll, there's a potential for making it worse. And then also if the same person attempts the same skill check multiple times without good narrative reason on how they're doing it very differently, you start getting from the GM. Typically, the marshal will start giving negative, approaching negatives, because you've already tried that. It didn't work the first time. You can try again, but it's even less likely to work now, kind of thing. There's some exceptions to that. But,
I see. Well, healing is one thing I'm definitely considering then, because that seems like something that would be useful. I just don't know exactly what attribute it might use. I guess it depends on the situation.
it should tell you what they're linked to.
Healing is smarts based.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 1. Because it doesn't go up to a D6. That's just me unlocking healing, period. So it's still a D4.
Yes.
Yep.
And I have 12 of these.
Yes.
Correct. Seems like a lot until you get done and realize how many you don't have that you want.
Yes. So far, it does seem like a lot. You're right.
Alright, so my first 3 are going to take faith from not existing to a D8.
Okay. I kind of expected that, you know.
Then my next 2 are going to take shooting from off the board to a D6.
That's 5.
I'd like to bump up common knowledge as well. Because I'm going to be real honest, this is what I use the insight skill for at my tables.
A little bit.
Common knowledge, insight is notice in Savage Worlds.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, it's totally different, but well, I use what I can.
He wrapped like insight, perception, investigation, and all those others just into notice. It's fantastic. Makes my rogues happy.
Of course, they don't have to roll 15 things.
Right.
That's the big difference between 3.5 edition and Pathfinder. You mean I don't have to roll 3 skills to try and hide? I can just roll stealth? What?
Alright, so that's 4, because I decided to bump athletics, common knowledge, and healing all up to D6s.
What about you, Robin?
Okay. I'm trying to figure out what some of these mean.
Ask away.
Do I need... So a shaman uses faith for their thing, not spellcasting.
Well, faith is their spellcasting skill.
Okay.
So the way Savage Worlds works is you don't just like cast a spell, you attempt to cast a spell, and you roll a skill check with your spellcasting skill, and if you succeed, being target number 4, pending any modifiers, then that spell is activated. If you succeed with a raise, meaning you beat the target number by 4 or more, then some spells give additional boons or benefits.
And you need it.
So I don't need to. Okay.
Yep, and you need a faith at a D4 or above.
Got it. Yep. So yeah, I don't need spellcasting too. Okay.
Wizards use like spellcasting, I think. Weird Science, they use Weird Science.
Hucksters are the ones that are using spellcasting here.
Yep.
Okay.
We don't have a huckster, so that doesn't really matter.
And I came so close.
Okay.
I think I've spent 9 dots so far.
1, 2, Or
Just focus. Focus.
I
F,
see.
F, F.
I see 7
Oh.
so far.
It's in
Survival is new. Native language is
yeah.
also new.
There they are. Yep. So 9. I didn't
No,
see
that's-
native
So
language the
what
first
else?
time I looked through.
Yeah.
Notice.
Considering situations where native language will be useful, but the last thing I want is to be in the classic spaghetti western situation where the Indians are talking about something important and you can't understand a word they're saying. And as a result, the entire movie becomes worse because everyone's acting on their instincts instead.
I feel like I can't not put a dot in a cult, even though I don't really. Yeah, I just feel like I have.
Someone needs to know something about that, but it ain't gonna be me. I mean, it could be me, but my guy doesn't like magic, and for good reason.
Okay, so now you put it in. Okay. How do you close this now?
I ain't doing magic, boy. It's God's work.
There we go. Okay.
You gonna tell me God isn't magic?
No, sir. No, sir. He is.
You mentioned some of them start with a D4.
Yeah, they were the ones that were already showing up on your sheet.
Okay, so if I
Those are
click
the
the
skills you get from the
D4,
start.
If you hover your mouse over the D4, it'll spread out your choices, and then you can just like click the D6 or D8, and that'll change it.
thank you so much.
It's already there.
Okay, so we have 12. Definitely
I'm at 6 so
one
far.
to
6 to go.
go big on our feet.
Ooh, going straight to 8 on that faith.
Well,
I have
yeah.
a question.
I've hopefully got an answer.
Well, in Savage Worlds, there is the driving skill for driving things that tend to be higher tech than Deadlands has. Now, Deadlands is not entirely without machines, but I'm assuming if we're going to say, I don't know, be riding horses or something, that driving is probably not the skill that applies.
That would be riding.
There is a
Driving's gonna
riding
be
skill
for-
in here. I must have missed it. I was looking for one, though. Oh,
between
here it is.
research and science. Driving's going to be for infernal machines,
One.
trains, carriages,
One, two.
coaches,
One.
that sort of stuff. Even though they use horses, if you're like if you're like driving like a train, like a coach or something, that'll be driving.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if those burning bozos let us get to the locomotive already, then the job's done before we arrived.
I don't need to drive it. I just need to turn the speed way up till it breaks.
You know what,
Maybe
that's-
once we get off the train.
I did put a point into healing, so I'm not untrained.
You said
Puts me
D4.
at 7.
1, 2, 3.
I think everybody here is like, make
4,
sure
5, 6.
make sure I have some points in healing, otherwise things
7.
might go bad.
I'll probably have healing as a power
8.
as well.
Probably.
Which will be helpful. Maybe not.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
some of our
feeling more
choices
of
might
a-
change as well if our...
I'm
Sorry.
more of a righteous wrath kind of power. I'm
Fair.
here for the smite.
What were you saying, Corin?
Some of our choices might change depending on the abilities that we have, if they're fueled by certain attributes or skills.
Yeah. As my boilerplate disclaimer, things are not set into stone until session 1, so
Okay.
even these skills you're picking right now, if for something reason something clicks later and you're like, oh, I really need to change that, just let me know.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm not here to
That's
strap you
some
down and basically
nice
say you
guidance.
said you were playing this, you have to play this. Like,
Alright. I'm gonna bump fighting to a D6.
how many points you got left, Draz?
Leaves me with 3 more.
Let's see. Gambling is smarts. That's another thing that it seems like it would be useful to be good at. Better count my dots, though.
Riding at least a D4.
3,
2.
I think I'm
4,
done.
8. 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm pretty sure that's 12. I have a lot of things in smarts, don't I?
Robin, looking at shore.
I feel like I overdid because I have a lot of d6s.
So far, I have two d6s, one d8, and I've added a bunch of d4s. But I got 2 points left.
No, that looks right.
I wait. Me?
Because common starts at... So you went up 1 on common. You went up on 3 on faith.
Mm-hmm. 2 on
That's-
healing?
No. Yeah, 2 on healing. Sorry. That's 6.
2 on notice?
8.
3 in occult?
11.
Oh yeah, I went over a lot.
12 for taunt. 1... survival. Hey, there's that survival again. Stealth, you only went up 1. 14, and then persuasion. So yeah, you just need to knock 1 thing down. You're only 1 off.
Wait, how much do we get?
12.
12, sorry. My brain keeps thinking 15.
Okay,
But
so
that's
yeah, I went off by a lot.
You
Yeah.
went off by 3. I keep thinking 15 because that's the variant rule. When you're dealing with more of a high tech, they suggest that you start off with 15 rather than 12.
Yeah.
And
I got 1 point left. I went ahead and bumped athletics to a 6.
I think I'll just get rid of taunt. How do you remove one of them? Just
Oh.
go away.
Oh,
All right, that.
Yeah, you just go into the hammer and wrench and hit the X.
There we go. I got rid of taunt, survival, and I went down on common knowledge.
Okay.
Question. What does this use skill specialization button do?
Nothing that you need to worry about right now.
Does that mean it needs to stay unchecked for now?
Yeah, just leave it unchecked.
Okay. Okay, let me also look at the edges. Maybe I want something in particular for...
Well, where are we exactly? Has everybody finished picking up their skills?
Pretty sure I'm done my own.
I got 1 left. I think I'm gonna raise. For now, I'm just gonna bump persuasion from a 4 to a 6.
All right, so we're going to do derived stats. Now, obviously, these sheets actually handle those themselves, but just so everybody kind of understands what's going on, your standard pace is 6 inches. Obviously, we're not using a regular grid, so 6 inches is more nebulous.
It's average.
Thank you for that, Robin.
3 yards to an. It's like 6. It works out to like 6 feet per inch instead of like the
Yeah.
traditional 5.
Yeah. Your parry is 2 plus half of your fighting, which is stated. That should have already calculated on your page, so you don't really need to worry about that. I'm just explaining how that works. Your toughness is 2 plus half of your vigor plus any armor. So, any questions on the derived stats right now?
Not so far.
Okay. No.
Oh, no, feel free to ask it.
No, I just figured it out.
All right.
As I was about to ask it.
So, we are at about the halfway mark. I'm getting a little thirsty myself. So, we're going to take 5-10 minute break, get some water, refresh ourselves, and we'll be right back. Take care.
Okay.
And we are back. So, where we last left off, we were on the somewhat home stretch. We were up on edges.
Yes.
So, edges are your fun, unique abilities that actually do quite a bit. So, you have the points that you took for your hindrances. You all took 4, so you have 2 extra edges you can take because edges are worth 2 hindrance points. With that, you also get your novice edge that you qualify for from being human. And I feel like it's at this point that I will go ahead and mention I have settled on your advancement, finally. I bounced it around in my head for a while. We are going to start at base level seasoned. So that means 4 advances.
Oh,
So,
let me switch that.
in
What I
addition to spending your entrance points on edges, there's other things you can do with them as well if you choose.
Yeah.
Wait, it won't let me change to season.
Yeah, same here. I can't
He
change
may,
to season.
he may
Just
have
switch
to do
back
that. It
novice.
wouldn't let me affect it either.
Okay. GM.
He may have to advance us.
Yep. Let him work his magic. Okay. Okay, this is a whole new thing then, so I can look at more edges.
Yes,
Woo.
give me one moment here.
Excuse me.
Okay, so that's not what... Let me pull open my fake character sheet. Feel free to go ahead and talk about edges without me chiming in for a second because of state. I am gonna actually have to. I am gonna have to
Edges,
troubleshoot
right?
it. Yeah, edges for right now.
Yeah, edges, guys. Not lines.
So, obviously, I'll be taking arcane background, blessed,
Kind of required, is it not?
because that's kind of required to play a blessed. Can't get around that. And then that'll be my free human edge. And then I'm probably going to take Veteran of the Wild West.
Why don't you tell everybody what Veteran of the Wild?
I swear I was just reading this one.
It's a deal with the devil. Basically, you
there it is.
get
Okay.
4 advances by taking that. Because you're a veteran of the Wild West. So instead of being seasoned advanced 4, I'll be veteran advanced 8. The difference is, or the flashback on that, what do they call it? Backlash. That's the Savage Worlds term. The backlash from that is that, well, when you're a veteran of the Wild West, you've seen and done some stuff that has an effect on you. And so we're going to have to draw a card, and depending on the card, there will be some sort of most likely bad thing that happens or that I'm stuck with.
I have a question about this.
Real quick.
This edge says that the marshal has all the details, so I'm assuming something the game master knows, but that we don't necessarily. Do we get to find out anyway, or will it be better to find out during play?
Depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be anything from like I get the bad luck hindrance to I'm marked for death and all of my soak rolls are at a -2 to maybe I'm a harrowed.
Little part of
Red
you hopes for that one.
What I really want's the red Joker. But it's a 1 in 54. I don't see it happening.
Also, everybody, you should now be able to manually set your rank and advancements.
Not gonna lie though, Harrowed wouldn't hurt my feelings any.
Okay. How many of these do we get again?
Well, by base, you get... Technically, by base, you get 1 from being a human, but then you can also spend your hindrance points to it, and you can spend your advancements.
Okay.
So you get 4. You get 4 advances, and then each you'll want to take it 1 advance at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Each advance, you can either gain a new edge, or you can increase a skill that is equal to or greater than its linked attribute by 1 die type. So if your agility is a d6 and your fighting is a d6, you can raise fighting to a d8 because that's equal to or greater than its linked agility, right? Or you can increase 2 different skills that are lower than their linked attributes with 1 advance. So let's say your agility is a d6 and your fighting is a d4 and your shooting is a d4. You could raise both your fighting and your shooting up to a d6 because those are both lower than their linked attribute with 1 advance. Once per rank, so once in novice, once in seasoned, you can raise an attribute. So like Robin, you could with one of your advances in novice raise your spirit die 1 or raise your vigor die 1, but you can only do 1 attribute 1 time once per rank. And then typically not at creation, typically only through play and with working with the GM. You can use an advance to remove a minor hindrance or turn a major into a minor.
Ooh.
That's with GM permission and yada yada yada. Like if you're wanted, for example, and maybe a team comes at you, maybe you're wanted major and they send a team after you and we kill them all, maybe that sends a message back and they're not willing to invest as much money so that you can take an advance and drop that major to a minor on wanted or something like that.
Pretty much.
Or maybe we hit a big payday, you take your cut, you send in some bribe money, stuff like that. You can do narratively and then work with ideal. There's a lot of things you can do with the advances.
However, Somebody took veteran of the Weird West. So,
I've got to. Somebody's got to do it.
you
And
know
there's
what
a
I
red
need?
button. I'm pushing it. How do we draw cards on this?
It's
I've got a Deadlands card deck downstairs. I can go get and shuffle up.
I have a card ready. So,
All right.
look to draw. Queen. I don't. There we go.
Oh God. Oh. Okay.
Go ahead and read it for everybody so they know what the queen means.
Olixed. This gunfighter has a bad case of gremlins. For those who don't know, gremlins are a thing in the Wild West. They infect technology. They cause problems. Most prevalently in the telegraphs, messages can arrive garbled or delayed or not at all, etc., etc. They kind of infect these things, and sometimes they pop out and they look like little tiny goblins, but they can live inside of devices. These buggers infect every device the hero touches, including guns and other non-weird science mechanical devices. Anytime the hero rolls a critical failure when using a mechanical device, it suffers a malfunction and is unusable until someone spends 2d6 hours working on it and makes a successful repair roll at the end of that 2d6 hours. True infernal devices, which are already prone to mishap, instead always suffer a catastrophic malfunction.
I only have one question. These gremlins, can you eat them?
Termites.
Maybe.
The only thing I care about is whether or not they taste like chicken.
You said charcoal wrong, boy.
Ah,
All right.
Gremlins might infect my gun if they don't get in the way of God's mission.
So,
All right.
well, there's that. You were not hoping for
Okay.
that one.
No. There's some. I mean, that's not fun. Anything that messes with me, I enjoy on that. But I had to push the button. Somebody had to push the button.
Yeah.
But hey, 4 free advances. Well, I guess not quite free.
I wouldn't call them free. Oh man. All right.
question. If
Yes.
you have an edge with a requirement that has a specific level, you can only take it at that level, right? So since we're seasoned, I can't take a novice edge anymore.
That level or below.
Yeah, that level or below. I was gonna say yes, you can.
Oh, okay. So I can
And-
take those. Okay.
And at creation, we are novice rank 0. So we finish our character, take your edge for being human, then spend your hindrance points. You can spend them on edges. You can spend it on more starting funds. I think one hindrance point buys you like $500. I think we start with 250 monies in this setting, and a hindrance point buys you 500. You can also use them for attributes and skills in some way.
Starts with 250. One hindrance is 500.
I'm just trying to figure out what I want to take. There's
Wait,
so
so
many
question.
things.
Handle those 3 first, and then you want to kind of step it one at a time. Then it's like, okay, novice rank 1, what do I want to do? Do I want to take an attribute, a skill, skills, or an edge? And then rank 2, 3, and when you hit rank 4, now you're seasoned, and that opens up seasoned edges in addition to novice edges. Plus, now because you're in a new rank, you can do another attribute if you want, and then certain edges can be taken multiple times once per rank as well. So
I found the animal companion edge in here, and I have to use all of my mental might not to just take it.
is that Beastmaster or something like that?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Animals never do very well in my games. I don't know why.
And Beastmaster.
But the
Well,
Jinx
animal
to be
with a
fair,
pet.
dies within a certain amount
in
of
my
time,
games, I
probably
don't
gonna
really
do it.
intend for them to either, because I don't want to get into this whole spiel on camera because it's really just me complaining about D&D more than anything else. Maybe another time, if the audience actually wants to hear about that, I can give my thoughts about why I think Beastmaster in D&D 5th edition is poorly implemented. It's not
It
for the
is.
reasons you'd think.
As a guy who's playing a druid and Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, they got a lot closer to it. They did a much better job.
Okay, so if I get this correctly, one edge from human,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a 2 edges you can buy with your hindrances.
Yes.
Because we did 4.
If you want,
Yeah.
yeah,
If,
if that's
Okay.
what you want to do with them.
And then when we're seasoned, what is that? Is that 1 to make it 4, or we get 4 advances?
4 advances.
Okay. So
When you-
7 in total.
Once you-
At rank 4, you are now seasoned, which means if you decide to take an edge there, it can be an edge of novice or seasoned instead of being restricted only to novice edges.
Got it.
Hmm.
So you can have like 7 edges, right?
Me, I could hit 11. If that's the way I
Damn,
wanted to
right.
play it.
It's
Because you did the
veteran.
veteran.
Sometimes I play guys who are rich in money. Sometimes I play guys who are rich in advances. I don't know what to tell you.
And other times you just play guys rich in traumas.
So we
All
get
my guys are rich in trauma, man. You gotta have a baseline.
step, yes.
Gotta
We're
have
talking about all of the various characters we played at our D&D tables, and I realized
So-
that PTSD was a common thread amongst all my characters.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got to put a little bit of yourself into everything, right?
Yep. So, can I spend an advance to raise my spirit up to a D8?
Absolutely.
You can do that
Okay.
once in novice and again in seasoned.
Yeah.
And
All right.
I assume we'll advance some in the game, so you'll get other opportunities.
Cool. I also have an idea for an edge that I think would be appropriate considering what I have in mind for Josh the Jinx. I want to take hard to kill for him.
Yeah.
This way, this thing allows him to ignore his wound penalties when he makes vigor rolls to avoid bleeding out. Which
You got
means
plenty bigger.
he has a much easier time staying conscious.
Yeah, you can get into a death spiral because every wound you get gives you a -1 to every roll. That includes rolls to avoid other wounds and bleeding out.
But not this guy, at least partly.
If you haven't noticed by looking at the dice and everything, the one major critique that is valid is the system is swingy.
That's a feature, not a bug. We're playing in a Bethesda game, okay?
Yeah, I'm not saying it is a bad thing, but it is a valid statement. It's swingy.
I love that you could be the Savage Worlds equivalent of a level 25 hero and die to a really lucky goblin. It's unlikely, but it could happen.
Mhm.
Probably seen it happen.
Come close. The
Page 7.
Oh, since we're in session 0, question to you, Marshall. There is a baseline rule and a variant rule.
Okay.
For wounds. So when you take damage, it's equal to or greater than your toughness is shaken, and for every raise you take a wound.
Yes.
By original rules with no variant, there's no cap to that. So if somebody deals 32 points of damage to your 12 toughness, you take 5 wounds. So you would have to soak 5 wounds to get it all the way down to 0. There's a variant rule that has a 3 wound cap.
That applies across the board, even creatures with higher size or edges that give them more wounds. It still has a 3-wound cap. Because it takes a 4th wound to incapacitate a wild card, it means that no wild card, antagonist or hero, posse or not, can never be, if they are fully healed, can never be essentially one-shot killed. Which way are we going to play it?
There's part of me that just wants
No.
to say no variant rule and see how the luck folds, as it were.
I'll tell you, in my Deadlands game, we played no variant rule, and then in my Pathfinder game, we played with it. 'Cause that's a hero fantasy. And in Deadlands, you're not the hero, you're the protagonist.
Yeah,
and you might not win. So
I am leaning towards no variant rule. Should everybody die in the first session due to that? Well, then that's, maybe.
Session 2, 3 harrowed on the train.
So, can someone remind me again exactly how bennies work? Because I remember reading it over, but I kind of forgot.
Oh, sorry.
So the marshal starts with a number of bennies equal to the number of players, so he'll get 3. All wild cards get 3, I believe, and then I think wild card NPCs get 2. And you can use them to basically do whatever you want. You can use them to within limits of martial approval. You can reroll damage rolls, reroll attack rolls, spellcasting rolls. You can force the marshal to reroll rolls. You can use it to make narrative changes. If you're running low on ammunition in the middle of a battle and you search behind a cupboard, maybe you can spend a Benny and find a box of ammo.
So it's like the lucky feat from D&D, but on steroids.
Yeah, think like Fate.
I like
Tokens,
it.
If you've ever played Fate.
I think
It's
I've played Fate like once or twice. Yeah, I played a Game of Thronesy version of it with one of my old
Yeah.
players.
Never played it. Just know the system by reference. But yeah,
Oh.
it's like DM inspiration meets the lucky feat from D&D, but with broader use case.
That sounds awesome.
And I get this. I don't know why I'm getting this vibe up your guy. That's like this hard support test guy kind of thing, where yeah, when he shoots, he does a lot of damage, but he might kill people. But you can focus on doing tests against what's called tests against opponents, where you make opposed rolls against them to essentially cause them to be distracted or vulnerable. One of which gives them -2s to everything they do, one of which gives +2s to everybody who does stuff to them, or to support your allies. You can do support roles and stuff. And as you can see from the numbers I gave you, you can see what a massive difference a +1 or a -1 or a +2 or -2 can make to an attempt on something.
They especially make big differences the lower that your dice step is.
Mm-hmm. And then there's feats that give you extra bennies. Feats that let you transfer.
I was
bennies
looking at
to
an edge
people.
for that, incidentally. It's part of why I was asking.
Luck and great luck.
Yeah, and
Yep, those
you
are the ones.
you also get them for great moments in storytelling, or if you pull a Joker, all players.
Yep. Generally, it's a pace. You see more bennies being handed out by the marshal early in the session. They start to taper off as you get towards the climax of things, kind of deal. And yeah, you can earn them through role play, story, all kinds of stuff. Playing your hindrances well, that sort of thing. And there's feats that there's feats that also let you transfer a benny to someone else.
I saw some of those as well.
So you can build like a smarts and spirits focused with you can do smarts and spirits with taunt, intimidation, maybe a touch of that stuff like that, and then focus on tests and support roles. There's feats that like anytime you fail a support roll, you get a free reroll without having to spend a penny. So you're more likely to pass support rolls and stuff like that.
I do have more spirit and vigor than anything else, so
You can really lean hard into the changing the outcome through your actions without dealing direct damage kind of thing. Like change the outcome by affecting what other people are doing rather than doing direct rather than you yourself having direct implication.
yeah.
It might require a bit of tweaking on what you've done so far, but not by too much really, and it's some cool stuff.
Really, I'm just wondering what might be fitting for the idea that I've got so far to make use of what I have, of having that contagious bad luck in a way that can maybe sort of be aimed a little.
Testing opponents. You can use a steely gaze to do an intimidation test, and they have to resist it with like spirits. Whatever the linked attribute is to the skill you use, that's what they resist with. So like intimidation, they resist with spirits. If you try to, throw sand in their eyes or trip them up off balance, you would make an athletics check. They would make an agility in opposition. So stuff like that.
It's a shame I'm not there yet, because Killer Instinct seems awesome.
So how's everybody looking on their edges?
I'm just gonna put them in now, I think.
Overwhelmed.
Would you have it any other way?
Overwhelmed indeed.
No.
The leadership edges might be more what I'm looking for.
Leadership edges are some good ones too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Command's not a bad one. So let's say your toughness is 6. If something does 6, 7, 8, or 9 damage, you're shaken. If you're shaken and you get shaken again, you take a wound. If you're shaken at the start of your turn, you get a free action to make a spirit roll to be not shaken. If you fail that, then you can spend a Benny to be not shaken, or we can do that at any point. But if you don't, and you just choose to stay that way, then you can only take free actions, like moving and stuff like that. So that's command. Is extras in command range, add +1 to recover from being shaken. And then like natural leader is everything that applies only to extras now applies to wild cards. So you can start synergizing stuff like that too. Some fun stuff.
Cool.
So, what edges have you taken, Robin? And how many did you take?
Plenty. So, first off, I took Arcane Background Shaman. And I took a Shaman Edge called Spirit's Favor, which basically just reduces something. I can do it quicker or something. If I think that's how it works.
Pull it up.
The Shaman may cast that power as an action without incurring a multi-action penalty. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I chose new powers. So I get 2 more powers, I think. And then PowerPoint.
For more powers?
Okay. Yes.
For more power
it's
usage.
Yeah. And Soul Drain for even more power usage, but for a cost.
Yeah. It's pretty hefty cost.
Yeah. I'm gonna take 2 more, but I'm gonna need to think on which ones. As if this already is enough, but...
Hold up. You do not meet the requirements for Soul Drain.
Oh,
You need
oopsies.
you need arcane skill at D10+.
Wait, isn't soul drain the thing that we're told to not use?
Wait. Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. Thank you for looking out. So I need faith out of 10 plus?
It would, yep.
D10 plus? Yep, okay.
So
So I don't have that.
you could spend one of your advances to get it there.
True.
Because
What you could do is you could spend that hindrance point to do something else, and then work your faith up, and then come back to that edge. Trying to
Let me come
find
there
what,
with us.
what page does it lay out what you can do with your hindrances?
that's definitely core book.
Yeah, I'm just one off on it.
Page 9. For 2 points,
yeah.
raise an attribute 1 die type, or choose an edge. For 1 point, you can gain another skill point, or gain an additional starting fund. Those are the only 4
Yeah.
options.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I guess I'll spend an advancement. Is that how it works? On faith? To make it a D10?
So what's your spirit die right now?
10. And it's at a D8, so you'd be able to raise 1 more skill.
One more skill that is less than its linked attribute, you can also raise in addition to your faith. So for my human live, arcane background bless, or veteran of the Wild West, or arcane background blessed, whatever.
Yeah.
And then for my hindrance points, I'm gonna spend 2 points to get the other one, and then I'm gonna spend the other 2 points to raise spirit from an 8 to a 10.
Okay.
And now I got 8 advances to go through.
So for the...
Yeah.
So, I'm now going to add in the final little part here, just because advances, edges, and all the like, it's going to take a little bit of time, and I understand that. So I will also add in this last little part if it's easier for people to figure this out now or on their own. That is fine. We are obviously starting off with the base. We're doing a lot of things at base, so characters begin with 250 dinero. You can spend that how you wish on equipment.
Sorry, how much was that?
250.
Okay. Put it here in money.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The complete list of gear is on pages 25 through 37.
Okay.
Nobody took agent or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about page or payments,
Oh.
etc. At least as of right now.
Yeah.
So remind me again, in case I've got this wrong. We get 3 edges at first, then we get a 4th one later with our rank up, right?
We get 4 from advancement.
Yeah, you can get up to 4 from the advancements.
Yeah.
Oh.
You get
Okay.
1 edge from being human. You can spend your hindrance points to get 2 more if you want. You can also spend 2 of those on an attribute, or you can spend them on more money and stuff like that. And then each advance, you can either get an edge once per rank, raise an attribute, or you can raise skills. And how many and how much depends on the skill and the attribute it's linked to.
So yeah, in total you can get up to 7 edges if you just spend it all on edges.
Yeah.
I'm still not totally sure exactly how many I've gone through yet.
Well, let me look at your character sheet.
I've taken 3 so far for edges.
Okay.
Well, that would be
Ooh.
all 4 of your hindrance points and your human. So that would set you for creation.
Yeah.
Now you got 4
Okay.
advances
Ooh,
to deal with. and
I've
each
got a
advance
question.
could be a myriad of things.
What's your question, Robin?
You can't take two backgrounds, right?
You can.
Yeah.
Technically.
Oh,
You just can't take backgrounds outside of creation normally.
Yeah.
Like I'm taking two backgrounds. One
Oh,
for
right.
Veteran of the Wild West is one, and Arcane background is another. Gotta make
okay.
sense, and but backgrounds are typically only at creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have an idea, but I gotta think on it.
We are getting close to the end here.
Yeah.
So,
Should I just go for it?
since a lot of this is more bookkeeping-esque type stuff, for background details, I want to touch in on this a bit. Are there any extra background details that people want to bring up that now that you guys have gotten a little bit of a more concrete idea who your characters are? Anything you want to mention for background details?
I do. Mine is like it's a bit of an open question as well because I had an idea of what it might be beforehand, but Josh was previously someone who was trying to use his Jinx powers to help, and then he left that organization, and now they're out for his blood or to press gang him back into membership or to kill him, one of those, some combination maybe. The initial idea I had was that this was the United States military. Is that okay, or should we maybe go with something different?
U.S. military?
Northern side or Confederate side?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going through my head. North or South military?
Union or Confederate, son?
Hmm.
So the Civil War worked out real different in
Probably
this
the
world.
South.
And it's only
Because
been...
Josh would be leaving because he wants to be able to help more people and not be held back, right? And the South would definitely want to make sure he's helping the right people.
Yeah, the Civil War did not work out the exact same way. Let's just put it like that.
I was reading some of the lore. I was horrified.
Worked out better, but worse.
Things came to a more natural conclusion. However, it drug on forever and ever and ever.
Oh. Kind of like... Never mind.
I'm assuming Texas still got a next in this timeline.
So there's the territories. Technically kind of separate. It's all really funky. There's a soldier professional edge in Deadlands Wild West
Yeah.
book, page 20. It's a professional edge is also typically taken at creation, and it's for heroes that have served in the military, basically.
However, his character has technically fled from the military in this case.
Mm-hmm. It's for people who have served. You're still serving. It's got some caveats.
But you get paid.
You do get paid if you're still serving. Same with Territorial Ranger and Agent.
Yep. But yeah, so, yeah, I'm fine with the military chasing you. You just need to tell me north or south because that does make a bit of difference.
If we're running out of Louisiana or southern Texas and we're picking, and not all of us were directly assigned, some were picked up on the way, it's unlikely a northern soldier would have fled.
There we go.
Well, I guess it depends on why, doesn't it?
Did I miss anything?
We're just discussing who Corin's character's on the run from. Josh. Who Josh is on the run from.
Oh wait, I can't see James anymore. Okay, that's fine.
It's one of those weird situations. Just roll with it.
You're not missing much.
So, Corin? Hello?
What?
Oh.
We can't hear you.
All
if
right.
you can hear us.
Okay, well, Drowse, any background information you want to share then?
Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, hang on. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, good. Well, the thing that I was gonna say is the south. It's the south.
Running from the south.
Yep.
So you're trying to
Did you
get
not hear
north
what I was
quick.
saying earlier? Yeah, trying to get north quick. Trying to get north quick in a way that's going to make people not ask so many questions.
Or at least
'Cause,
west out of the territories.
Yeah, the less scrutiny is on him, the better. And preferably, it'd be good if he can help out in a situation where a lot of innocent people aren't going to be in the way. What do you think he's trying to get away from?
Does anybody have questions about William Barnett?
What's your deal, man?
Does Will have any creature comforts of note?
His flask and the whiskey that's in it.
Reason he took that up instead of something else?
Well, he tried cigars and he got addicted like we all do, but they don't numb it quite the same.
Numb what? The thing that he won't talk about, of course, is what I'm asking about.
You know, some people fear what's in the shadows. Most of them. That's because their imagination runs wild. What could be and what they don't know. It's different when you do know. When you've seen it and it's looked back at you. It ain't fear anymore. It's just knowing. One day, it'll catch you when you're not looking. Maybe God will be busy that day.
Actually,
I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I'll.
What's
have drunk
waiting for
enough to not
James?
feel it.
What form does it take?
Hopefully, we don't have to find out.
Hey now.
Maybe I'll be in my rocking chair when it happens.
Not the rocking chair.
This is fun.
Though,
Yeah.
Corin brings up a very, very good question because that is actually the final question it mentions too. The very last question of character creation. Your worst nightmare. No reason. Trust us.
I think that's actually in the book.
It is.
Yeah.
Tell us your
If
worst
I
nightmare.
didn't trust
For no
you, then
reason
I
at all.
wouldn't tell
Trust me.
you. Because the thing I trust you with, dear Wyverian, is that you will take that worst nightmare and you will use it to bludgeon my player character senseless.
But hey, that's section 9. So, Robin, do you have a character name yet?
No, I think I'll think on it, but by next time I'll definitely have one. Names are very big on me.
Just describe your character in excruciating detail to an unnamed large language modeled AI, and then ask it for 15 names that feel like a good match.
Oh yeah, I've got another detail that might need discussion. Not just for mechanical sake, but also for story's sake. You know how I mentioned earlier that I was desperately trying to restrain myself from taking Beastmaster Edge just because I knew it was in the book?
I saw you failed.
Yep. So now that is a thing.
Yeah, I saw that you had failed. I looked at your character sheet and saw it.
I know myself, and I know I was not going to be able to stay away from this once I saw it. Animal companion archetypes, man, they're inescapable.
So what's great about Beastmaster in Savage Worlds is that even if it dies within a certain amount of days, you just get another one.
Yes. Mechanically, it is awesome. Flavor-wise, it doesn't fit what I'm going for, but this is also a very different sort of game, so I can live with it.
Flavor-wise as well, remember, you're going to be on a train.
This is true, so
Was it
I
a
should
dog or
consider
a
the
cat?
type of. It might be something different, honestly. If we're on a train, then, well, I was thinking maybe going with something spooky to fit with the whole bad luck aura thing. Maybe they're ravens.
I got a German Rottweiler in my head and I can't let it go.
We are running out of time, so I do want to focus on
The final part.
the final question. Robin.
Of course.
Ooh, I think her greatest nightmare would be just. Ooh, this is a big question. Well, it's a combination of captivity and helpless.
Okay. Since you're mentioning something like that, I do need to then now pose a question to the other two players. Is that a theme that both of you are comfortable with? Because I can see how that might get into certain territory, so I want to ask.
Sorry, I spaced out. Which theme exactly?
A Native American shamanistic type character whose worst nightmare that might come into play of the game being captivity.
And helplessness.
No, that doesn't bother
Helplessness.
me.
You can't really find something I'm uncomfortable with. This is not the real world and I'm fine.
Yeah.
There
So
are some things I might be uncomfortable with. This ain't one of them.
okay.
And honestly, I think these are the sorts of questions that need to be explored.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was something that came up, and it's like, okay, let me make sure. Now realize that I may put you in a situation like that. Make sure that you're okay with it as well, because it's one thing to say it, and then another to be actually in it. So I just wanna mention that before I write it down here.
Absolutely. I always think of it as like something to overcome.
And that brings us to Josh.
I'm trying my best to think of how to put this in character-ish terms. I don't know if I can do the whole thing because my throat's still kind of sore. But for Josh's worst nightmare, it'd be one of two things. Either way, they revolve around what would happen if the Confederates caught him. First thing, if they caught him and they decided to kill him, you could think of some pretty bad ways to go. One of them would be getting burned alive. Painful, and it's not fast. But what would be probably even worse than that? The cruel mercy of them forcing him to work with them again. His old buddies, the lynchers. Because think of it this way. If you die and you go to hell, well, innocent people go to hell too, right? So it can't be that bad. But if he has to stay here, surrounded by a bunch of awful folks who are ready to string a man up just for looking at a white girl the wrong way, he has to live with that and do the same evils to them, or else it's right back to option one. Well, quite honestly, he'd putting it another way, the bullet at the end of the barrel would start looking real friendly after that if he thought he'd ever get away with it.
So essentially, to put it in less words, being captured by the South.
Yes.
All right. Anybody have any follow-up questions for the fellow players or questions for me at this time as we wrap things up here?
I'm good at the moment.
Obviously,
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So Josh has wanted major. You said you had an idea in mind with that, even before finding out he was wanted by his old pals, the Confederates. So, are those going to be linked now, or is there someone who wants Josh independent of the Confederates?
I think I have an idea of what I want to do here for that wanted. And
My first instinct is that they just sent a bounty hunter after him or something.
oh, this is me we're talking about. I'm nothing if not imaginative. It will not be just some random bounty hunter. It will not even be a bounty hunter. Guaranteed.
Okay.
I have an idea in mind. Now, originally, no, the South had nothing to do with it. Could I mix in a little bit of that with it? Most certainly. But I already have about 15 other ways to twist the knife even harder. So,
I mean,
might go with
That's
one of them.
that's fair. If there's one thing I can imagine about them, is that the Confederates probably don't care whether or not the job is getting done. They want to be the ones to put their hands to Josh. So, I mean, it's personal at this point, right?
All right. Any other questions that I can give somewhat vague answers to? Sorry.
Ooh. No, I just figured it out again.
Sounds like everybody's good.
I'm good on that, yeah.
So, we'll talk equipment and the remaining advancement, edges, and the like throughout the next week. And we will see everybody again next Wednesday.
Indeed.
Do you want my worst nightmare?
Oh, I thought I thought you had already been pressed on it. Okay, I thought that's what we were talking about. My bad.
Halloumi cheese. Not my worst nightmare, just some delicious I'm eating. Nope. William spent a long time in his life hunting the real bad things, doing God's work. I think the worst thing he could ever imagine. We touched on it briefly, but turning into or being bound to one of them Manitow.
That can happen?
Yeah,
That's what
that's what
Arrowed is.
yeah. They're bound, body, soul, and spirit to a demon.
I meant more the former.
Yeah, I mean, if you get turned enough, corrupted enough, killed the right way, killed the right thing, you could end up getting pulled into the hunting grounds, turned into a Manitow, eventually spilled back out into the world in some way, maybe. It's like anybody can be made a demon. Situation's right. He knows he's not a pious man or even a good man most of the time, but he does good work, even if it ain't always the right way. And having all that be for nothing and adding back into it at the end, that ain't something he thinks he could ever handle. Maybe that's why he drinks and smokes a bit, knowing that could happen, being so keenly aware. I wouldn't call him an alcoholic or addicted, but you know, mostly because I don't have room for the hindrance.
For now.
That will come with time, not to worry.
Honestly, I may tack it on anyway. You can take more than the 4 points for the hindrances. You just don't get benefit out of it. You can turn those points into other things, but I may add it on there just because I can.
All right. Well then, we'll be saying hello to this posse next week on Spaghetti Wednesdays, where we see what sticks. Thank you all.
Goodbye, everyone.
You guys next week, and we'll get things started off right.